Let's go to Google Classroom, classroom.google.com, and what it probably was going to prompt you. Did it prompt you to join a class or create a class? If it didn't prompt you, it's that plus at the top. So we're going to create a class. Now this could be anything. Ideally, now stop me if you have questions or you're lost or anything like that. What questions do we have?
Like all individually creating a classroom?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all creating a classroom. Okay.
Did you say students, teachers?
We will say teacher. Oh, no, you're in the, up there, type classroom.google.com. I think you're in like a ed package, something. Okay, get started. Oh, you know what, you're not signed in. Sign in to your Google account, and then do it. Okay, so what you want to do is create a class. You're a teacher, okay? And ultimately, you're going to create a classroom, and you're going to invite me as your student, okay? Eventually, that's the today's deliverable. But for now, just create a class. So you can create anything. 9th grade social studies. Anything you want, and that's really all you have to do. The rest of this stuff you don't have to. Hit create. And that's what you should see. Are you getting there? No. Okay. Yep, you're on track. All right. So let's just take a step back and look at what we're looking at here. It creates some image for you. You can change that, of course. What's nice is that it automatically includes a Google Meet link that's relatively new because of the world that we live in. This is the class code, which I'll explain later, but essentially, this is something that you may or may not use as a teacher. We'll get to that later. And then pretty much everything else, you have an announcement bar. And that's really about it at this point. There's really nothing there, right? So just to look at your announcement real quick, you can type things here like, you can plan, okay. Hello, welcome, class. And then everybody in your class is going to get this announcement. Just like in Gmail, you can delay that announcement to a time. So if you want to remind your kids at 8 a.m. that you have a test in an hour, you can type that announcement, have it sent at a time that you so choose. So whenever you type an announcement, this announcement will not only go on Google Classroom, but it will then be populated in, depending on settings, but default settings will be sent to the email, the kids' email. Now the nice thing about Google Classrooms too, parents can also sign up for updates. That's nice. Okay, so anybody have any questions at this point about the Google Classroom so far? All right, so if you look at the top, just kind of looking around here, we have the screen. This is your home page. Classwork, there's nothing here, but you have a create and a class drive folder. We'll get to that in a minute. You have people, obviously nothing here, but this is where your students are. I will suggest that you, if you know your kids ahead of time, to send them an email Because if you say, okay, kids, sit down, open your books, and join my classroom, you might have, depending on the amount of kids that you have, you might have some kids that either copy down the wrong one or just don't do it because they're being a knucklehead. If you send them the link, then they just click on it, right? It saves a step. But that is the code to join a class, but we're not joining anything yet. All right, ignore this. This is a plugin I have, so you won't have this little purple button. This is a Google add-on, so just ignore that. Also, the grades. The grades that you give on your Google as it's trying to load like nobody's business. This will be where your grade book is populated once you have grades. All right. So let's go back to Classwork. Oh, let's look over here real quick. So you'll have other classes, so like first period, second period, third period, or reading, social studies, science, right? This is where they're all going to be. Now you can see I'm already enrolled in Mackenzie's class. It'll have to-dos, and it'll also have things for the teacher to review. But of course, since it's brand new, there's nothing there. All right, so what we're going to do first, we are going to create. So click Create. First, we are going to create an assignment. So go ahead and click Assignment. Name it something. For this assignment, we will be doing an assignment. Okay. Now, I want you to look at our options here. First of all, we have some options down here. We have Google Drive, if you wanted to upload something or connect something via Google Drive. You have an upload file, okay? So that would be from your computer. You have add a link. So let's say read this news article. So let's go news. I'm just going to find a news article here. And I'm going to copy that, and we're going to go over here. And we're going to add a link. And we're going to add that link. So the link is going to be this news article. I think we're crashing the connection right now, the internet, because we're all doing this, so that's why it's taking a little longer. What else you have here is a YouTube option. So you can say, here's a video with a cat, but it's for critical thinking. And you can hit share, copy, paste, search, and add to the assignment. You also have other options as well. A doc, which is the most common. For some reason, it's not here. But the ones that I've experienced is the most common because you've made a worksheet out of a doc or something like that. Google Slides, Google Sheets, drawings, and forms. Forms can be an assignment, but generally, like we'll see here in a few minutes, forms will be used for quizzes, for assessment. Okay? So you have all of those options. So go ahead and create an assignment. And then once you create it, you look over here on the right. So who's it for? All students, or it'll have individual students that you're able to select. Or how much is it worth? Is it ungraded? Is it worth 100? Is it worth 2,000? When's the due date? So I'm going to make this due tomorrow. What's the topic? You don't have to, but you can create the topic. So this could be Chapter 1, Geography. And we'll get to this later, how to create these. But what an amazing option to have is to be able to add a rubric. We're always after you to have rubrics. You should always have a rubric. But it would be nice to be able to just kind of create a handful of rubrics that you're going to use, throw them on Google Drive, and be able to drop them in every assignment that you give. What an amazing ability. Okay? So, check this out. Check plagiarism. That's an option that's pretty new. So once you do this, you can hit assign, or guess what? Schedule it or save it and come back later. I'm going to go ahead and assign it. Guess what happens whenever you assign things? I'm going to show you. I hope nothing else in my email. Okay. Mackenzie didn't tell her I was going to use her, but this is what comes up in my email whenever she assigns something. So you'll get an email notification as well, the students will. Anybody have any questions up until this point? Pretty straightforward, huh? I misspelled geography. It doesn't have a U on it. So whenever you go back to your stream, you can see that I posted a new assignment. Your kids will also see this same view.
Oh, were you actually posting something?
Yeah, go ahead. Create a way. Because what I want you to see, or what I want you to see is how to use this stuff. I also want you to be used to uploading stuff, as well as you're going to add me at the end, and I'm going to go in and see that you were able to do all this stuff. The deliverable right now is for you to create a class with assignments and then add me as a student. You know what else is pretty cool about this? Is whenever you're enrolled in a class, this calendar right here, let me take these away. Well, here's the new one. And here's Mackenzie's. It will auto-populate on your calendar the assignment and when it's due. So it will create a new calendar within your Google Calendar. That's pretty cool. You can then in turn click on the event in Calendar, and it'll give you a link to the Google Classroom. And there it is. Pretty good stuff. So go ahead, if you haven't already, just take a minute or two while I grab a drink and create your first assignment. You don't have to put a whole lot of stuff into it. I just want to see that you're able to do it. Anybody have any questions? If I'm going too fast, let me know. Can I continue, or we still need a minute or two? Every once in a while, I'm going to think of something to show you, like little tips and tricks that are very useful. And here's one. So let's say there's a tab, like I have our friend here online, that you don't want to accidentally close. You know, we've all done it, right? If you right-click on that tab and you hit pin, it'll move it out of the way and you won't be able to close it. Isn't that cool? See? So if you worry, if you have like a million tabs open, as sometimes I do, and you worry about closing one, just pin it. Very useful tip. Okay, let's continue on then. Let's go back to classwork and let's create a question. This is something very easy. You can, of course, have the option to have supplements, right? Like we did before with this stuff down here, the drive, the upload, and all that other stuff. But usually questions are pretty simple things. What is the capital of Ohio? Blah, blah, blah. Over here you have the option. You can make a short answer or a quick multiple choice within the question. I like multiple choices as separate forms, but you can do it here. So maybe this is a bell ringer. Maybe this is your bell ringer for today. Columbus, Cleveland, Akron, or Painesville. So those are my four options. You have the same options over here on the right, all students, the points, the due dates, the topics, all that other stuff. But you also now have something generated here because it's multiple choice. It automatically generated this little button over here that says students can see the class summary. You either do or don't. That's up to you. It's like the Kahoot. You know, in Kahoot with the bars, it's that kind of stuff, okay? So whenever you're ready, you can just say ask. It's saving. And on the stream, Greg Rothwell posted a new question. What's the capital of Ohio? And then you as the teacher are going to see the number of turned in, number of assigned. You can also sort students by status, by answer. So what if you were asking a review question from yesterday and you want to separate the students who got it right from got it wrong? You can just sort it that way. Pure genius. And then you'll be able to see these bars fill up based on the responses. Pretty cool stuff for just like a bell ringer. Any questions on that? We good? The nose is itchy. Now, if we had students here, that little envelope will be activated. You would be able to communicate. But we don't have students. Now, I could have created one and added you as students, but I don't really want to do that because then I want you to go back and add one as a teacher, and that's just too much work. Okay, any questions? You can add comments. Just like a social media feed. But always to get back to your class home page, you would click over there and you're back to where we were. All right. You see how the comment I created is there. Any questions before we continue? Let's go back to Classwork. Let's go to Create. Let's go to Material. Find something that you want to connect to this. So I'm going to find a link, copy. I'm going to link. So try to link something and link something else. You can either link something from Docs or your Google Drive. So just link two things for me on here. Chapter 1 supplement. This is interesting. And then you would post it. So this is more for like stuff that's like supplemental materials, readings, anything really. It's stuff that's not an assignment. It's just stuff that you want them to have. Okay, go ahead and just do that. I'll take a drink. Whenever you're ready, we can go back to Classwork. Now you notice it says reuse post. If and when you have multiple classes, let's say you have 4 sections of the same topic, you can reuse things, okay? So that's what that's for. Let's go down and create topic. Let's add topic. So now we're adding another topic. So this is like the next subject. I just want you to see the difference between, when we were there the first time. Now, of course, the view is going to be a little different on the student end, but not drastically different. I also want to show you that up here are links to Google Calendar and Google Class folder, the Google Drive folder. Yes. Oh, I just wanted you to create another topic. That's all, and it just does this. Just to see what it does. That's all. You have Google Calendar and Google Class, excuse me, I said it again, Google Drive class folder. A lot of people will create a class folder. Well, it does create a class folder. This is your class folder. And then you're able to drop things in there as you see fit. So the very last thing that I want to create is a quiz assignment. Now, this is the most dangerous of all Google stuff because there's so much that can go wrong with Google Forms, and that's what we're going to look at right now. Okay? So what we see here on the screen, we see everything that we saw before, all the stuff over here, the points, the due date, and all that other stuff, rubric. I want you to look here real quick on the end of this Google Forms option. It says locked mode on Chromebooks. So if you have a classroom where all of your students are using Chromebooks, which is very common, you can, once they're in the quiz, lock it down so that they can't open up any other stuff. Now, can they find a way around it? Probably. They're kids, they're smart. But at least it's an option. So what we want to do, I want you to click on blank quiz, and it's going to take you to Google Forms. I love Google Forms. I've used it for a lot of years. It's improved over the years. It's added more features. But here we have a blank quiz. From the beginning here, we see at the top, questions, responses, and settings. Once we have responses, they're going to be here. You can view the responses, and the settings we'll talk about in a minute. And the responses can also then be exported to a spreadsheet. They also this little thing down here on Google Classroom says grade importing. So what it'll do once it's graded, it'll import to the Google Classroom gradebook. So that's very nice too. So let's look at questions. Let's just look at how to build a quiz. So we got blank quiz. So we're going to call this Geography Chapter 1. You can go ahead and create a quiz with me. Description. These questions are from Chapter 1. Now, as default, it just has this, a regular question. You click on it, and it defaults to multiple choice. You have other options. If you click on the down box here, the drop down box, you have all kinds of stuff to choose from. A short answer, paragraph, check boxes, drop down, file upload. You can do Likert scales, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever. Multiple choice grid, rows and columns, okay. Checkbox grid, this is just if you were to ask a question, what's today's date, what time is it? You really won't use that. So let's just stick with multiple choice for now. So you would ask a question. How old am I? Option 1, 12. Option 2, 13, 14, 15. You can also, within the answer choices, click on images and add as an answer choice an image. Okay? It doesn't just have to be plain numbers. You also want to, while you're building this, pick well, I'll show you that in a minute. Here it is. I thought it was another screen. The answer key, you want to be able to pick the correct answer and put in how many points the question is. You can also add feedback. No, the answer is 13 for incorrect answers, or correct answers, yay. And then you can link a YouTube video. Oh, that's the newspaper. Maybe as an explanation. You got that incorrect. Here's a video to reinforce the concept. Or here's the link. You are then done. You are ready now to add a question. So what I'd like you to do, I'm just going to start talking for a minute. Add some questions. Add like 4 different types, or several different types, let's just say. Like practice with a multiple choice. You're going to go over here and click add question. Maybe practice with a paragraph. Try them, not all of them, but some of them, just to see what they are like. Mess around with them for a few minutes. I should have mentioned too here that here's an option to make that question required. So you have to answer it, or it won't submit. We're almost done. We're close. I know I'm working you guys hard today. Yep.
Oh, no.
You good?
No. How do I add
Okay. How do you what?
that?
Oh, so some reason it's not. Your screen's not showing it. I don't know what's going on. But there it's at the top. I don't know why it's not like that. That's strange. Okay. I was really stumped there for a minute. Over here on the right, as you're playing around, trying to go ahead and explore those. You can add videos, you can add sections. For most of your purposes, you're not going to add a lot of sections for this, for quizzes and stuff like this. But if maybe you're creating a questionnaire, you might add sections, right? You also, let's say you had a test bank that comes with your textbook, or questions that you used in the past that are on a Word document. You're able to also import from a file. And it'll create, not perfectly, but will create questions. You might have to go through and fix them. I want you to also notice that anytime you scroll around the top of each question, you can also move the questions up and down. You can drag them. So if you want to change the order of some things, all you have to do is drag stuff. Anytime you want to see what the questions look like, go up here to the eye, up in the upper right-hand corner, click it, and that's what it's going to look like. You can, of course, change the theme options, the colors over here as well, with the paint peel up at the top. The nice thing about Google and Google Classroom is that anytime in anything that you're doing, you never have to save anything because everything's just automatically saved. So that's nice. This little button down here with the multiple page kind of looking document, or document multiple page looking thing, is duplicate. So if you have another multiple choice, you just want to copy paste it kind of thing. Okay, whenever you're, does anybody have any questions? Because we're about ready to go into the settings portion. So you go ahead and finish up the question that you're on. Okay, are we ready? One of the best, oh yes. What is it? Yeah. It's automatically saved. And now let's go into settings, right up there at the top. How do we post it? We'll get there. We're getting there next. Okay, so don't do anything with it yet. It's saving, it's not going anywhere. Go to settings. Right here at the top, questions, responses, settings. Go to settings. This is the best piece of advice I'm going to give you as an educator. Select release grades later. You're a 5th grade student who just took a quiz of 5 questions. And one of the questions may have been wrong. Maybe you choose the wrong answer choice. Or there's something with human error that allows it to be marked wrong. Maybe they didn't understand the question. Long story short, nothing will tear down the self-esteem of a 5th grader, or any kid for that matter, when they get that grade back that says F, but they didn't really get an F. I highly suggest that you say, later, after manual review, you'll go in as a teacher to make sure everything's all right before they get their grades. You don't have to, just a little word of advice. Here's locked mode. I talked about that a little bit already. Respondents can see which questions were answered incorrectly, and you can see what's default. Respondents can see total points and points received for each question. Now, if you click responses and look at these options, collect email addresses, you just kind of want to leave that on there because, they should be logged into theirs and all that other stuff. Send responders a copy of their response. This is off for now because, let's say, little Johnny's taking it at home and he just got a copy of all the right answers. He might email it to Kevin, his buddy, and they might be cheating, right? You always have to be one step ahead of them, right? Allow response editing? Probably not. For a quiz purpose, probably not. But maybe it's just a regular, some kind of an activity, right? Restrict to users in Lake Erie College or your organization. So the kids have to be logged into their stuff to their account in order to take the quiz. Limit to one response. Show progress bar. I like progress bars, especially if it's like multiple pages. Kids know how they're done. Shuffle question order. Love the shuffle of the question order. Because Johnny can't send to Kevin, 1 is A, 2 is B, 3 is C, because they don't know which one's 1, 2, and 3. Confirmation message. Show link to submit another response and view result summary. You don't want that. You're not evil, so you're not going to put disable autosave. Okay, you don't want to do that. Okay. You can also make questions required by default. Might be a good idea. The reason I'm showing you all of that is because Google Forms, although lovely and although wonderful and although just a beautiful piece of equipment to use as a classroom teacher, there's a lot to mess up on. There's a lot of settings. So you need to get comfortable with the settings. Now, once you are done with your quiz, what you can do, you can either hit send via email, send a link, or embed, or go back to, wait a minute, you want to name things. So it doesn't automatically name it, so let's name it, so you know which one's which, right? Chapter 1. So that's the name up there. You want to then leave the form because it is saved. You go back to your Google Classroom. Kind of activate the field a little bit here. It should be changing the name on me here. Maybe we refresh. Shouldn't be doing this. It did? Okay. So it probably was fine when I had it the first time, so I'm going to go ahead and add a Google Forms. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, this is a little tricky for some reason.
Can we just add the link to it?
You can. But it should automatically refresh to the one you were working on. For some reason it didn't. I don't know why. But that is option 2. So you can say, link, link. That's what it should have looked like, and that's what it should look like now. Or, I know I'm kind of spinning my wheels here. I'm going to show you what did I want to show you? I don't know, maybe I was making that up. Okay, but anyway, it's there, chapter 1, and then you're going to assign, and the chapter 1 quiz is then assigned to the kids. It'll look a lot better on their end as far as the stream goes. But then you can see how many turned it in. Sorry, that was a little rocky there. I don't know what happened, but. Okay, any questions on any of that? Okay. So there's the link, if we ever needed a link. The code. You could turn that off, copy it, reset, whatever. My question to you now is, we have created each one of these within Google Classroom. And I've shown you a very basic level of each of these. Anything that you create in your drive any of this stuff that you create in your drive can be sent or linked into your Google Classroom for your kids to do. Does anybody have any questions or comments or crises? What I want from you is the last thing to do. And you can do this right now and still add to your classroom. Trust me, I'm not going to be looking at every single one of these tonight, okay? But I want you to go to Students, and start typing in G. Roth and invite me as a student. And my email's about ready to blow up. Are you connected? Still wireless? This is telling me it's not saved. Oh, wait. Go back to your quiz. Try that. if is giving you an error message, Marshawn's getting an error message right now, and this does happen, what you would then do is go to your stream, copy paste that, and just email it to me. That's all I'd need. Questions? Crises?